Welcome to Jar of Genius. I'm your host, Russ Perry, and this is a podcast where we dive into the business of creativity. Each episode, I'll explore the minds and stories of innovative leaders and companies who have paved the way and are shaping the future for creative businesses around the world. From groundbreaking business models to extraordinary creative campaigns and the innovations of technology we use and will use ahead, I'm excited to help you not only run a creative business, but thrive in this ever-changing and always challenging landscape. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Jar of Genius. I'm your host, Russ Perry, and today we are here with not only an incredible creative entrepreneur, but a good friend of mine who I have literally climbed some of the biggest mountains of my life with, Mr. Jonathan Ronzio, the CMO and co-founder of Trainual. Mr. Ronzio, welcome to the show.
I'm excited to be in the jar, Russ. Thanks for having me.
So we're going to start with some real hard-hitting questions. Real tough stuff here at Jar of Genius.
Okay.
I want to know, how many nights have you lied awake in your bed regretting not coming to work for Design Pickle? Is it dozens, hundreds, thousands? It's been many, many years since that moment of your life where you had to make a decision.
Probably at least once per lunar cycle. I ponder what could have been.
It's thousands for me, like for sure. Like I definitely am sad envious of the alternate multiverse reality you've lived going down the Trainual path versus Design Pickle.
For sure, man. I mean, it would have been fun. It was just it wasn't the right time in my life, right? Like, but I'm honored to have still been a part of the early days of Design Pickle. I still feel like, when it was like just you and two other people, and I was riffing with you on all the content marketing ideas and doing the early blogs and the early website management. And it was cool to be involved in that era. I remember the first meeting I came out in person that we had like at it was a co-working space or whatever. And I brought you the sublimation print Pickle tank top. Remember that?
Oh yeah. One of the earliest Pickle swag. Well, so for the listeners wondering what this trip down memory lane is all about, Jonathan is a killer creative, actually one of my closest friends. Him and I have done a lot of things outside of business together, but he has led the creative strategy for a company called Trainual, which, by the way, you got to check out. I am an investor, but I was not originally and still recommend the shit out of it, where you guys effectively are creating the one-stop shop, one-stop platform for businesses to document how they run and how they do things so they could scale, grow, hire, et cetera. We'll get into that a little bit. But the reason I invited Jonathan on is because he is like a creative savant. You're a musician. You're a creator of video content. You are a business strategist. You are someone who has lived a creative life backpacking across continents while also documenting it and turning it into a feature film. And I don't think I know of anyone who can compile all of those things. I mean, have you written a book yet? Is that out of reach? You haven't done that, right?
I haven't yet. I've got two on the horizon.
Okay. All right. So, Russ, just pretty soon this is coming.
I'll have a children's book out later this year and then a real book out probably sometime next year.
Excellent. You always got to start with the children's book and then go to the real books.
Yeah, it's the appetizer.
So I don't even know where to begin, man, because we could go in so many directions. But I think I'd like to start with kind of a mid Trainual. I don't know if it's mid or early Trainual moment for you guys. You guys went down this path and still have gone down this path, taking a very consumer brand focus to your marketing. Like Trainual is a B2B software. It's for businesses to document the stuff that they do. I love you guys. It's kind of like not the craziest thing, right? Shall we say it's kind of boring in a way? Like documenting processes. Yeah. Is that fair? And you don't get offended?
No, it's super fair. And that was my challenge from the start, was looking at this tool. And I'm not like the systems process guy. My brother Chris is, right? But but like that's not my natural state. But I know the value prop of it. I know what's on the other side of it. I know the unlock of having systems and delegation and all of that in your business. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really good at building the stories around the aspiration that all of us entrepreneurs have to get to the other side of that chaos. So that's what came natural to me, not the actual doing of the utilization of the product. Like we've scaled teams around me that can support the madness. But no, it is fair to say, like, that was the challenge from the beginning, is how do we make SOPs sexy? How do we make this like HR ops, B2B SaaS software not boring? And,
right.
And so it is a boring space for sure.
So I want you to share the Cameo hack that you guys discovered and how you leveraged this into like really what I think was your like real big comprehensive campaign that went on for quite some time using celebrities, using all of this. But I remember watching ads or seeing your content, and all of a sudden, Kevin from The Office, is that his character, the title? Like was that he the first guy you guys used?
No, the first person with Cameo actually was Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank and Bethany Frankel. We got the two sharks.
Sorry, wrong Kevin.
Yeah.
Wrong Kevin.
Yeah.
So tell us this story, man, because you saw an opportunity, you went for it, and we're definitely breaking terms of service initially.
Yeah. But they didn't have those explicitly listed at the time. Like Cameo didn't have their Cameo for Business arm yet. And no, this was late 2018. We had come across Cameo. So, somebody had told us about it. And
what is Cameo, just for people?
Cameo, if you don't know, it's like you can basically like get a birthday shout out for your friend or a happy Mother's Day from your mom from like Flava Flav or like a lot of, more often than not, C or D-list celebrities, but there's some all-stars on there that grace the platform, usually for a period of time. And it's a route to celebrity shout outs. And so we heard about it and we looked and we saw that there were some people that were like right in our sweet spot of entrepreneurial influencers, because at the time we had already been running, probably been 4 months into us running Facebook ads and scaling those ads and knowing that like our best audiences were built off of these lookalikes of people that liked Shark Tank and followed Gary Vee and followed, Damon John and watched The Office and whatever. We were like leaning into not just the entrepreneurship side, but the like psychographic landscape of our audience.
Yeah.
And
what do they like to consume aside from, the day-to-day of business?
For sure. And so we saw this platform and realized that it was like going to be $300 to get a video from like Kevin O'Leary or something. And so wrote up the little shout out and just figured, what's the worst that could happen? Like the Cameo team tells us like, no way, you can't use this commercially. Like you're obviously fishing for a product promo here. Or Kevin would see it and decide not to do it, but he got it. So did Bethany, and they both did it. They both recorded it and sent it back with just like no strings attached. And we got these 2 videos of these sharks just like shouting out Trainual, and like Kevin got his guitar and he like did a whole big message. He expanded on it. He didn't just go off the like prompts that I gave him. He like went deep into recommending this product. And then we started running those as Facebook ads, and it was absolutely killing it. There's a reason that people have celebrities in their marketing, right? It's because that
right.
If you're a brand that nobody knows about, you're very easy to skip. If you are leveraging the brand equity of somebody that people know and care about and are already familiar in their mindset, then it's going to stop them in their scroll. They'll pay attention for a half a second longer. They'll see if it's relevant. So that was for us, like our first pop of understanding what working with a celebrity influencer could do to supercharge our advertising. And like reduce our cost per trial or cost per demo, whatever it was.
And how long did it run until somebody said, "Hey, this is not ideal. Like you guys gotta rethink this"?
It was probably about a month, maybe a month and a half, and it was like mid January or something, 2019, and I got an email from Cameo's legal team saying like, you have to stop now. And we're like, sorry, like didn't know we couldn't do this. Like they gave us the video, and so they're like, yeah, you can't advertise that. But that's what helped inform us doing it legit. And so that was where like we had the, now the confidence on in terms of testing what it could do to our funnel to go and say, cool, let's go spend $5K, $10K with the next people we worked with were the cast members from The Office. And so yeah.
Which makes total sense, right? Like with spitting off not.
Yeah.
Now I'm running through stories in my mind. Obviously I know a lot, and I just had this epiphany. I can think of 2 other like marketing hacks that effectively were you with creative thinking and creative ideation were able to get way more value out of the effort and the whatever deliverable you're doing. The first one is the Montel Jordan music video at the Suns. This to me was like mind blowing. And it does take a little bit of a backstory just to say, why are we talking about the 90s R&B hip hop star Montel Jordan and Trainual. So maybe you can set that up, and then again, a loophole in the system with what you did with him on how you were getting free advertising in an NBA arena.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious about number 2. What's number 2? And then we'll go back. We'll Tarantino it back to the Montel story.
Well, all right. Well, number 2 is in the middle. It's not as exciting, but I think that still counts. I'm telling your stories, man. But I got to like prompt you. It's
sure.
the tenure, the extra time on your airport advertising buys that you guys just stumbled into and had because no one else was doing it. And you just were like, hey, we're going to try this. So it's not as great of a story as Montel Jordan, but immediately I'm thinking, man, you've got a lot of value add from trying and doing different things, which to me is like not often thought about in creativity. That is like, we've got way more than we should.
But that's the name of the game, man, because it's supply and demand. And so like when you do things that most people aren't doing, then you leverage it more, you get more out of it. People are willing to sit with it longer. If you follow everybody else's best practices, it's like by the time somebody publishes a best practice, it's what worked for them a year ago, right? It's not what's working now.
They're like, don't mind sharing.
And so like even back to, you calling out that since the beginning, our marketing has been very B2C and not B2B. It's just because I didn't come from B2B SaaS, right? When we designed Pickle is not even, I don't know. It was like at the time what I did for you was also pretty B2C, but like,
right.
I didn't have a background in this world where I came in with like, oh, this is what a B2B SaaS brand would do. This is how SaaS marketing works. I came from outdoor adventure and filmmaking and just a different world. And so it was never in my mind that like, oh, these are the best practices. And so it was always just a playground of opportunity. But yeah, all right, the Montel story. So this is related to Cameo as well. Everybody knows Montel's song, This Is How We Do It, right? And
this is how we do it.
That was, it was just a joke internally that like, that was our anthem. Because SOPs are teaching you how to do things. And so This Is How We Do It was always something that was kind of on the vision board, maybe originally prompted by Chris, just of like, we need to do something with Montel someday. And we had a couple different points of time walked the path of trying to see like, do we go to Universal Music Group and figure out, can we license this song and can we use it? And that just always hit like a dead end. And then this was probably late 2019 or maybe mid 2020. This is mid 2020, and we looked on Cameo and Montel was there, but he was not only there available for like just sending back a video shout out. This was when they introduced that you could actually have a 15-minute Zoom call with somebody, and he had that available. And so so for a couple $100, we booked a Zoom call with Montel for 15 minutes. And we jumped on and started just talking to him about our business and this idea. And he loved it and ended up like right before we were about to get his contact info, the Zoom screen just shut off. Like Cameo moderator just like killed it because they want, if you want to talk to that person, you have to pay for it. Like they did not want to open up bi-directional.
Oh, so they were like monitoring the convo so that you don't go around them.
Yeah. And so they shut it down. And then I went immediately to Twitter and just messaged Montel, and he responded in the DM and gave me his email. And then we kept the conversation going there. And so the initial idea was like, is there just something that we can do internally with our teams to bring Montel to like our next all hands or something and get him to like do a shout out for everybody, sing the song. And then it was like, well, where does that go from a marketing standpoint? How do we use this and leverage this? And so in my background is also in music. I bought my first guitar when I was in 6th grade and grew up as a singer-songwriter playing in punk bands. And so I've always been passionate about music. And so I thought, well, maybe we can't license the song for less than $60,000 or whatever it might be. But like I could write a remix with Montel, right? So So we structured this deal where Montel and I would co-write the remix of This Is How We Do It to be like a modern entrepreneurial anthem. So it's not like going out on a Friday night and partying and whatever, but it's like, it's still a callback that people will recognize the hook, but it's like updated to feel more modern. And it's something that like is not just a cheesy Trainual promo. Like there's only one mention of Trainual at the very beginning of the song.
It's a good song. We'll link to it in the show notes. Like, it's a good song.
That was my goal. I was like, I want people to be able to like listen to this at the gym and whatever else, even if it's not Trainual related, but we're going to make it for a Trainual campaign. And And then we would, then go on and record a whole bunch of content with Montel, tons of social content, we did a music video. We, at the same time, were doing a deal officially with Damon John from Shark Tank, and realizing that when Montel blew up in 94 or 95 and this song was a hit, it was the same time that FUBU was getting started. And FUBU, like, Damon literally started by making his hats, right? And we were also running an ad. I have these behind. We were also running an ad where we had all these hats stacked, and it was visually showing on Chris. Chris was the subject in the ad. It was visually showing how to take off hats in your business. And we're like, cool, let's recreate this with Damon for his story of the FUBU journey, backtracked by Montel Jordan with the remix to This Is How We Do It as a multi-channel campaign. And it was super cool. We ended up doing the airport banners with that. And yeah, we ended up having a music video just playing at the Suns pregame for a season. So we can get into...
Well, like in that, by the way, like you're downplaying that. So here I am, we're Suns fans, go to the game, and I'm sitting in the seats, and before the game starts, the Trainual Montel Jordan music video comes on, and I'm like texting you guys, like, are you a sponsor? Like, what's going on? Like, how? Because you don't get to put signage up, you don't get to put banners or anything for free in those places. They charge you for everything.
Yeah,
and you're like, no, man. Like, they were having trouble with music licensing for a minute, and we just sent them the song to use because they're in contract or whatever the negotiations were, the people who run the music before the game. And like, I'm laughing so hard because, there's just some manager or some dude who's in charge of music thinking like, oh, this is a cool song, we're going to put it on. Like, this is like exactly as you designed, right?
Yeah.
Like exactly as you wanted this song to be, like a normal song. But I'm like, this is a Trainual ad. Like, this is a Trainual commercial. And all these other people are paying tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to get their brand up here. And you just like snuck it in. Like, it was so great.
Yeah. Because we went the entertainment route without entertainment licensing. Right. And it was like, well, because they have to pay so much money for every single song, anything that like goes through that system. There's so many people that have to get paid for that stuff. And so like, just, talking to the guy who runs music there, and he was just like, oh yeah, I love Montel. Montel is like one of our favorite artists that comes and does the anthem, or he's like, yeah, you did a song with him. Amazing. Let's see it. He's like, I was like, I'll let you play this video for free. And he was like, this is great. I love it. And it ended up, playing for the pregame for most of the season. So cool. And of course the video was just like littered with just, Trainual logos everywhere. Montel just rocking our swag. And it was super cool.
Until some other sponsor probably ratted you guys out and was like super pissed about it. Like, what is this? Like, how are they getting free exposure?
Yeah. But it was fun. And now,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, now I'm rocking the Suns hat today. Actually, we're now talking to them, seeing if we can do something legit. And I think that's like, it's the same thing as, just on a bigger scale, with the same thing as that initial Cameo play of like, we did the thing with Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank on Cameo. We ran that video, we saw its impact on our ads, and then we eventually did an official deal with Damon John and had him come into our Series B. And then we've had a multi-year kind of ambassadorship with him, doing tons of commercial content, because we saw the early signals that like this works. And so similarly, what we did with the Suns then, in that like kind of growth hack mode, informed a lot of the potentially really legit business development and partnership opportunities that we have going with them now.
So I got a question. Why are B2B brands so afraid to go down this creative path? Because we consume creative content all the time. Like, whether you're on social, you're on doing stuff, there's so many great ideas, you see it. It's you don't blink an eye if you see celebrities doing promotions for whatever. But I feel like as soon as you jump over to B2B, especially like B2B services or software, there's this like, it's not professional, or it's not, there's like resistance to that tried and true strategies of unique ideas and breaking through the noise. And it seems like just ideas fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that? Like, where does the gap start, and why is it so uncommon for these things that, if you were a powered sports drink company, this would be like totally normal. We wouldn't be talking about your creative ideas because like every brand does it, but this is so unique. So like, what's the deal here?
I think there's two things to break apart there. One is you talked about the like overly professional look and feel of things. And I think that like cookie cutter professionalism is a separate problem, and that's just hard to break in people. And that can exist anywhere, right? Like, I don't know the last time you hired somebody and you looked at like their copywriting on an email and you're like, are you effing kidding me? Like, who's going to read this? Like, type like you talk. And I think that there's something that needs to be broken inside of people to disconnect out of the world of writing 10-page essays for their college professor in MLA format to then go into the world of marketing, sales, copywriting in the modern landscape that resonates with modern consumers. That as a separate issue. The other thing is that B2B has not been given permission to build brand or to invest in brand. Brand is a little line item sometimes that you can carve off a little bit for, but B2B just operates under performance metrics and pure attribution. And if you don't know where this dollar is going and what you're going to get as a return on that dollar, it's meticulously scrutinized. And a lot of that comes from a lot of B2B being in the venture funded landscape and having, equity stakeholders and whatever else. But I think just B2B in general has way more scrutiny on attribution in the short term and less appetite for brand building in the long term.
Even though every brand case study in any MBA program would tell you the opposite. It's like, oh, look how great these companies are. Well, look how great their brands are. Look at how much they've done inside of that. But you're right. Like, and I've experienced that at Design Pickle where it's, hey, how's this lowering CAC? Well, yeah, we want to do this. It's going to connect. It's going to do this thing. Sorry, can't do that. Or are we going to spend less in other areas? Because we have to spend a certain amount of dollars on ads to get a certain amount of leads, to get a certain amount of demos.
Yeah.
And we can't afford to take any pieces out of that pot. Otherwise we'll miss our targets.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough. It's really tough.
It is. But like, think about what are your favorite companies in the world? And a lot of people are going to say Apple or Disney or Nike or Patagonia. And it's like, why? Why are they your favorites? Usually it's not because you are an avid fan of The Lion King, or because you only wear Patagonia shirts or only wear Air Force Ones. It's because of what the brand stands for as well, right? Brand is a component of the most valuable companies in the world. But yeah, I think if that's not in your DNA from the start, it's really hard to start pulling dollars for more, hard to track brand activities. And that even like something like an out-of-home banner, right? Like you mentioned the airport thing. Like, it's hard to say we're going to put $15,000 on this airport banner and have 4 of them in these 2 concourses, and that's money well spent, right? But the more that we try to marry it with performance, the more it gets more palpable, right? And so like, can you, when we did that in the earliest days, we added a drop down that said airport, right? Like, how did you hear about us? Airport banner. And we started to see that people were actually picking this and realizing that like there was some real, at least self-sourced attribution here. And then what we were also doing was running Instagram ads to anybody that was traveling in the like local, Phoenix area, thinking like, oh, they might have gone onto the banner and maybe they didn't register it and look us up then. But when they see our IG ad, something is going to click subliminally that I've seen this before, and they might click that, right? And so it's kind of how you think about the complementary effect across the rest of your marketing with your brand awareness. But from the beginning, we always put about 20 to 25% of our marketing dollars into brand awareness activity.
But that's mostly still, is that all offline? I'd imagine there's still a huge chunk of that is measurable because it's digital and you're able to track views, engagement, some level of performance. Or are you saying 25%? That's like, we don't know where it's going to go because we're sponsoring bus stops and satellites, or I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. So 1 out of every 3 Starlink satellites is a Trainual satellite.
You're gonna get there. Trust me. I'm rooting for you guys.
No, it's a mix. It depends on the season and what the investment is. Like that you raced the first year of the Ironman. That was a Trainual Ironman. That was a real hard thing for us to draw any sort of attribution to, but it was part of a larger strategy of like building a case study around Ironman as an organization using Trainual to onboard their volunteers and just all the brand assets that we could, grab out of that. And the association that we wanted to build of like, when somebody tells you that they did an Ironman, you know they're in damn good shape. Like they took that seriously, right? And when somebody tells you that they run on Trainual, we want that to have the same association. And that was a strategy in that spend that was not necessarily tied to the amount of accounts that came out of a particular year that we sponsored the races, you know?
Right. It's this plan, it's the organization, it's just, you know, what it takes to do that, the scale of the brand. So dollar for effort, dollar plus effort equals results. What's been your highest and lowest performing items? So things that were super easy, super light, not too much in terms of dollar investment, but just had an outsized impact in performance or brand, however you want to define them.
You'll love this. Do you remember Jingle Pickle?
Yes. Jingle Pickle for everyone was an April Fool's joke we did on unlimited subscription jingles for one flat monthly rate that people were pissed wasn't real.
And as one of your 3 examples for Jingle Pickle, Russ here recorded a rap. It was like just a super heavy house dub beat that was like, it's training, it's a manual, it's Trainual, and just looped. And it was hysterical, and I loved it. And so I remember
you're one of our quote unquote case studies on the website we just did up.
So good. So I remember taking that audio and just throwing it against the words, literally just like our purple backdrop with the words training, manual, and then our logo, Trainual. And I still to this day remember Chris saying, I was telling him, I'm like, I'm going to run this as a Facebook ad. And he was like, if this works, I probably quit. And no, he hasn't quit, but that stupid little thing that you made that we ran as a 15-second reel on Instagram with 2 words and a logo absolutely smashed. And to this day, we still throw it in rotation every once in a while. And so, but sometimes it's the really fun lo-fi things that actually work. It's not to say that anything on a larger scale hasn't, right? Like we've had success with the big commercials with Damon and the campaign with Montel and the thing we did with The Office, like that, the cast members from The Office, like that, it crushed. But sometimes the easiest things to do and the more lo-fi it is, the more on point it is because the more on trend it is. And so like I was seeing a lot of videos on TikTok or Instagram of people making those just like contraptions and dominoes and all sorts of things that like would, you know, crash down on itself like really strategically. And so I had our video producer just like basically put, I don't know, 1,000 dominoes across his floor and make a whole little domino thing and have one domino just ajar towards the end. And then he filmed the whole thing just going and going and going. And then it like stopped at the end. And the whole message was like, one broken process can kill your whole system. And it was a Trainual promo. And that probably took him 3 hours to build and shoot. And the cost of buying a kit of dominoes, and it killed for us. And so sometimes it's just those like creative lo-fi ideas that work really well, specifically on paid social.
Okay, we're wrapping up, but I have to ask the opposite. What's been the worst, the biggest whiff in terms of effort, time, money, and result? Something you thought like this is gonna be amazing, and it was not.
I wouldn't say anything that we've spent a ton of money on has really been a massive whiff, but there have been ideas that have just, you know, shit the bed that like that I really thought we're gonna go. One of them was if you know that game Heads Up.
Yeah.
You know, you play with your phone and go like that, right?
Like guess words on people's heads.
And the a cool part of playing that game is that it's recording what it's seeing. The phone is recording the people guessing, right? So you always have that like replay video. So I had the team sit on a couch and I sat there with the phone and we played a fake game where we're playing it for real, but I gave them like what the clues should be. And the final thing that they were supposed to be like shouting what it is, the clue on my phone was going to be Trainual. And so they're going to be shouting at me like employee training software, standard operator, like whatever. And the clue was going to be Trainual to draw that like educational association. But the ones before it were going to be like Gunther from Central Perk and Friends and whatever else, things that people knew. So we recorded that video that looked like it was from Heads Up and just edited out the actual clues and ran that. And I thought it was super clever and everyone was so stoked and it absolutely went nowhere. And then the last one I'll caution everybody against is anytime me or my brother wear sunglasses and record selfie videos in a car, we get overwhelmingly hate in the comments. there's something about like the, it's the Ty Lopez effect of like the standing in front of the Lamborghini and like looking like, you don't want to look too fancy on your ads.
Yeah. I had a selfie video ad was crushing. It was me on a scooter in Italy doing a video, and until we let it run well into 2020 during COVID lockdowns. And then it became like people super pissed because I was like, I'm in Italy and I'm talking about design Pickle, and we forgot to turn it off. So then it was just like this, like super successful video that turned into just like crazy negative sentiment.
Yeah.
This is insensitive. We can't travel. People are dying.
I can see that. Have you run it again though? Throw the scooter video back on today.
You know what? I'll make it happen. Maybe not today, but like within the week. We have a process now that protects me from the ad account. So I can't just get my fingers in there. All right. So I want to hear about your book, not your children's book, your business book. What is this about? And how can people like sign up to know when this is coming to life?
Yeah. So one of my biggest struggles, you even kind of set me up this way, talking about like what I do and who I am and my background and all that, is like since the early days of Trainual have struggled with like, what is my personal brand? Like how did I transition from 7 years of being like a sponsored mountaineer and like adventure filmmaker into this like SaaS marketer guy? And how does that make sense? And then if I even like, I'm also, putting out an album this year and like doing all this music stuff and still playing shows at bars. I've got a show. I'm actually speaking in Atlanta with Montel at an event this Friday. And then next Saturday, I'm playing a bar in like Worcester, Massachusetts, just like a 4-hour.
And all of this too, like for those of you just listening to this, not on YouTube, Jonathan is freaking handsome. So like this is like layered on top of really striking good looks. So continue bragging. I mean, telling us your hard life of not knowing who you are with so many amazing things.
Man. It's not been hard, but it's been an identity crisis for sure. And so what actually just kind of resonated with me is like, I feel like I identify with that like Renaissance kind of situation. Is like, it's like what I represent and try to inspire in people is that you can do all the things. You can live all the lives if you want to. Like you can try to do it all and do it all without sacrificing it all. And that's what I've tried to live and represent, is like building this amazing technology company, but still putting out these, books, or working on this album, or vacationing with my family, or, being able to take my son to swim class and date nights with my wife. And like, it's really important to me to have that balance, but to do justice to all of my different creative, ways that I lean. And so that's really what the book is about. It's like basically the art of doing everything without sacrificing anything.
I think you need a shorter title, but I like the direction.
That's not the title.
Okay. All right.
Just saying the title.
Do you have a title?
The title right now is "And Not Or."
That's really good. Awesome. So Jonathan, we've covered a lot. I could probably talk to you for like 3 more hours. We haven't even gone into what you briefly mentioned, mountaineering, adventure sports, the growth and challenges and all that. Maybe another day we'll get you back. But where's the best place? So we have Trainual, Trainual.com. But what about for you and the book? Do you got a list? Do you got a website? Do people follow you on certain social media things?
Yeah, I'm most active on Instagram and LinkedIn, both just at Jonathan Ronzio, and JonathanRonzio.com is where all the things will live.
Awesome. So we will link to all of that and everything else, including the Montel Jordan music video, which is still amazing and very fantastic. But I just want to thank you, man. Like, it's not every day that I'm talking to people who are inspiring and I know and I've done challenging things with and live life through. So I cannot wait for like season 10, episode 150 of Jar of Genius, where we come back and circle back around this with all the stuff that's gone on. But I'm inspired, and I hope everyone else who's listening takes something away from this, because this was probably one of our most practical episodes we've had on how to be creative and what that means. That's not just about cool things that look cool. It's about the ideas. It's about being human, being real, and trying things out. So Mr. Ronzio, until next time, man, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. This was a ton of fun. It always is riffing with you, Russ. And yeah, I really hope that people learned something. It's not about what everybody else is doing. It's not about what I'm doing. It's like find your own, like what are the snowballs of your own snowman, what makes up you and who you are, and figure out how to connect the dots in your own life.
Awesome. All right, everyone. So that's it for today. Go to jarofgenius.com to get the episode notes, the links, the Montel Jordan video, where Jonathan's at. And of course, Super Selfish, go check out Trainual as well. I love those guys. We use them on our inside of Design Pickle. They've from day one been helping us train everyone that's come through here. And that said, have a good week. And Mr. Ronzio, take care, man. Good luck with the children's book as well. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Jar of Genius, sponsored by Design Pickle. To learn more about the topics discussed, get access to any of the links mentioned, and submit ideas for future seasons, head over to jarofgenius.com. Now, if you enjoyed the show, you know the drill. A solid rating on your favorite podcast platform helps others find what we are creating and join the conversation. We'll see you next time, and never forget, creativity is your secret strategic weapon.